Hello, it is I, Andrine, a Jewish American priestess, coming to you today with a Hebrunes reading. We're going to start with some oracle cards from the Sovereign Oracle deck. And then we're going to do a Magen David spread here on this beautiful layout we have. But let's start by calling in the presence of the divine and pulling out some cards that will guide us into our reading today. What messages do we have today for all the folks who are watching? Let's pull three cards. We have one. There's number two. And what's the third message? This one's out. Okay. Take a peek. Okay, first card. Community. Second card is reflection. And our third card is genius. Love it. Okay, I'm going to get some stones as well to go with these. If you like to have a little stone to go with it. So for community, I'm going to put down this gorgeous green agate with the moss, red moss in it. For reflection, I'm going to take this blue, it might be a blue apatite. And for genius, we have the amethyst. Okay. So take a minute and determine which of these three cards and three stones is calling to you today for your message. I'll put the timestamps down below, and you can just click on that. It'll take you directly to your reading. We'll see you there. Okay, for those of you who chose community, let's read your card and see what's up. It says, say it aloud to people you trust. Seek out like-minded and like-spirited collaborators. Rally the support of your network. Abandon pride to receive the gift of connection. Community. And here's our stone again. This green moss agate, or some folks call it a bloodstone because it's got those little red speckles in it. And we'll just set that right in the center. And we'll pull out some Hebrunes today. I'm going to maybe zoom in a little bit. Great. Okay. Let's pull out 6 to start with. Coming down from the top, this is the position of what's coming down from divinity for you. You got the letter Kuf. The lower right corner is what is known about our situation. We have the letter Tet. Lower left is what is unknown. We have the letter Ayin. What is the root of our situation? We have Bet. What is our challenge and or fear? We have Dalet. And what is our advice? Lamed. Okay, we'll stop there for now. We'll do one more in the center when we finished. Coming down from the top, we have the letter Kuf. And the letter Kuf is the letter that begins the word Kadosh. It is the letter that means holiness or sacredness. So something coming down from above is calling you to sacredness. But the conflict here is that the letter Kuf also begins the word Kof, which means monkey. So there's something about animal nature here. You can see it's got a little monkey tail, which I love that. Somebody else pointed out recently that it also looks like a needle and thread, which I like very much. So we have Kuf. It is the concept of sacredness and the concept of animal nature. And how do we balance those two right now in our life? What is sacred to you? What is coming to you in the form of a gift from the divine that is sacred? And how can you use your animal self, your body, and your connection with the earth to embody that holiness, that sacredness right now? In the lower right corner, what is known about our situation? We have the letter Tet. The letter Tet is the letter that is a vessel or a cup of some sort. Some say it is a womb as well. It is the number 9 in Gematria. So it speaks to that concept of the 9 months of gestation. So there's something about gestation that is known. We have something gestating here. And the letter Tet is the letter that begins the word Tov. So Tov, which means good. So there's something good within, something gestating that is good right now in our situation. And that is what we know about it. The lower left corner is that which is unseen, which is interesting because the letter Ayin is, of course, the letter that means an eye. It's something that we do see. It's about vision. It's about being watched over as well. So maybe we're having some blindness to our situation. Maybe what we're seeing in our gestation is we're not seeing that it is good, that we're missing something here. The letter Ayin is the letter that corresponds to the number 70 in Gematria. 70 is a completion number. The number 7 is the number of days of creation. And so 10 times 70 is this ultimate manifestation of that completion of creation. So it's possible that what we're not seeing is that there's something coming to an end, that there's something that is being completed either in us or near us or through us, that we're just not seeing it right now. And regardless of that, we are being watched over by divinity. I love that the ayin is also the foundation of laughter. In the book of creation, the Sefer Yetzirah, each of the letters corresponds to some sort of foundation or transformation, and the letter ayin in the book of creation translation I read corresponds to laughter. So maybe we're not seeing the humor in our situation. Maybe that's what's missing right now, this idea of laughter. Yeah, so ayin is here, unseen. The eye is unseen. Our root cause of our situation is the letter Beit. This is interesting. Beit is the letter that begins the word Bait, which means house, and it is said to represent a house. So our foundation here is something about our home. Maybe it's a structure that we live in, or perhaps it's our body itself, the body that we live in, that is the root cause of our current situation of community. And I think this is great because we have this home. Our home is where our community begins. It begins with us. It begins with our own ability to create a home and feel at home in our bodies. Beit is the number 2. So we have, the oneness of all, the oneness of the divine. And then we move into this binary, this two-ness, and that's what makes a home. And it is the binary foundation of life and death, so this transformation. So here is our home where we get to choose life each day, that life and death is a choice. And that is the root cause of our situation in this reading today. It rules over the day of Shabbat in the week as well. So something about Shabbat, which is the day of rest. On the seventh day, the divine rested, not because the divine needed rest, but because rest is a holy act. And I love that it seems to play out here, because we have the 70, which is that finality, that ultimate manifestation of completion, and the day of Shabbat here, and holiness at the top, along with community. So being able to find a place that we can rest in our home is essential here. It's that rooting that will allow us to find a foundation in our situation. In the upper left corner, we have the letter that corresponds to what is the challenge in our situation right now. And we have the letter Dalet. Dalet is a doorway. So we're on the threshold of something. Perhaps because we've had an ending, or we have an ending that's coming that we don't see. And we have this liminal space that is a challenge. It's difficult to walk through, to transition. Dalet is the letter that has the binary transformation of wisdom and foolishness. So perhaps there's a transition that's coming up, and we need to make a decision. We need to make a choice about whether to go through that doorway or not. And that's challenging sometimes. It can be a challenge or a fear that we have that we're going to make a bad decision, that we're going to make a fool of ourselves, perhaps. And we have to overcome that fear and still make the choice. The doorway is there. We do need to walk through it. Transitions like this can be very challenging and bring up a lot of anxiety in folks. So it makes sense that there would be some concern about a doorway coming up here, this Dalet. Dal can also mean poverty, or someone who is poor. So maybe there's a fear about lack of resources, or becoming poor, making a choice that will be foolish and then cause poverty. It rules over the planet Mars in the sky, which also has to do with anger. A lot of the time Mars can be seen as a war planet, or it can be protective as well, but there's sometimes a lot of anger, possibly even righteous anger, that has to do with the planet Mars. So maybe there's a concern about anger happening right now in your life. So the Dalet, yeah, that's the challenge here, is that doorway. That being able to find the wisdom in the situation and avoid the foolishness. Our advice in our reading today is the Lamed. And the Lamed is the letter that begins the word Lev. Lev meaning heart. And it is the only letter that reaches above the line. So it is about reaching up with heart for connection with divinity. It also roots down. I love that. It looks like it has a root that goes down into the earth, as well as this little sprout coming up. And in the time of spring where I am in the world, this feels really resonant right now, that reaching up with heart, being able to be firmly planted in a soil, but also reaching up with heart. So the advice here seems to be to have hope. Reach up with heart toward connection with the divine, with another person, maybe even with yourself. That's the advice in this situation, is have heart and have hope. The word courage, which is, originally a French word, is about having heart. Cour means heart. So the foundation, the root of the word courage is heart. So have courage, have heart, and be open to reaching up for whatever assistance or connection that you need to get through here. And because we have this card that's speaking about community, that seems really appropriate, because it is speaking about reaching out to like-minded folks, finding collaborators, and rallying the support of your network to receive the gift of connection. So that seems incredibly important right now. I'm just going to listen in and see. That chime is a random chime that comes up on my phone every once in a while. It just seems like an exclamation point whenever it does. So then we listen in for a minute and see if there's anything more before we pull out our final letter here. Yeah, so we have the kuf at the top, and it is about sacredness, but it's also about being designated for service. Like anything can be holy, anything that you designate can be holy, and anything that is typically holy can also be used in a profane way. So what's important in this situation is that what's coming down from divinity here is this calling, that you're being designated for service to the divine, whatever that looks like for you. That's what will bring sacredness into the situation, is choosing to be sacred, choosing that whatever you're doing is sacred work. And it doesn't matter what it is. I mean, if you're brushing your teeth in a sacred way, that's a sacred act. If you're doing it for the glory of the world or for glory of the divine, that is a sacred act. It occurs to me also that the letter kuf is in the Sefer Yetzirah connected to the foundation of sleep. So maybe there's something, maybe again with this idea of rest, the Shabbat at the bottom and the kuf at the top, that we have this sacred need to rest. And part of that is asking for help, asking for support from community. So when we're feeling tired and we're needing to designate ourselves to holy rest, to find the sleep we need, that's really, really important, because our foundation here is also the foundation of Beit, which is the home, and Shabbat. We have goodness gestating within, but gestation is work. I mean, even though it looks like from the outside we're doing nothing, that gestation is work. It takes a lot of energy. But something good is being gestated, and even if we can't see exactly what it is that we're supposed to see right now, that we're being watched over by divinity, that there's something coming to a completion perhaps, that we have to take care of our bodies, we have to rest and take a Shabbat, that we need to honor the place where we live, whether that be our home, our planet itself. So honor the planet, honor where we live, our home, and find sacred rest in it. And although there's a transition that's coming up, there's some kind of fear and concern about making that transition of walking through that doorway, we need to reach up with hope. This is the message from the Lamed, is reaching up with hope and aspiration. The Lamed is the foundation of action in the Sefer Yetzirah. So take action is what it's saying here, is the advice is to take action, to learn what you need to learn from our situation. It's also has to do with learning and teaching. And so take in the information you need to take in from our situation here, and learn what you need to learn, and teach what you need to teach out of that as well. Reach up with heart. Reach out to your community and find what support you need in that. And I'm going to pull out one final Hebrune today to go right here in the center. So that's down above, to give us an outcome. And we have the letter Zion. Zion is the number 7. So it also speaks to Shabbat. So there's just a confirmation about this need for rest. Zion is said to be a sword or a scepter. It is this letter that looks a little bit like a sword or a scepter. So it has to do with sovereignty. It has to do with claiming one's own sovereignty, and also relying upon the sovereignty of the divine. But it's the number 7, so it speaks to Shabbat and the Shabbat bride, who is the one who crowns the week and is celebrated as the beloved of the divine. the number 7 has got so much magic affiliated with it. It is this lucky number. It is the 7 days of creation. It is the 7 weeks of the Omer, where we are right now. When I'm doing this reading, we're in the midst of the Omer counting, which is 7 weeks of 7 days, with a total of 49 days. And it culminates in the month of Sivan, which is the next month coming up. And Zayin corresponds to the month of Sivan. And the lightning, it has to do with also the lightning that shone forth down when the Torah was being given to Moses. The mountain was wreathed in clouds and lightning. So there's power here. There's an enormous amount of power. So I think this is a beautiful outcome, this completion number, another completion number of 7, the number of days of creation, this finality here, and also the Shabbat, which is the rest. So the message I'm getting here from this reading is take the holiness, find your home, find a place to rest, to sleep, to find your Shabbat bride, to sit in your home and take some rest. Allow that gestation to happen. Know that you're being watched over by the divine, even if you can't see it right now. Reach out to your community for support as you transition into whatever the next thing is, the next iteration that's coming for you. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did, you can like and subscribe. If you're interested in learning more about the Hebrunes or purchasing a set for yourself, you can see the link in the comment section below. Thanks so much, and I'll see you here next time. Hello, those of you who chose the beautiful blue apatite stone here. It's kind of dark. Hopefully you can see that. As well as the card reflection. Let's read your card today. So, reflection. Take time for deep thoughts. Notice the ripples you create. Softly mirror your truth to the world as you discover it. Reflection. Okay. Let's take some Hebrunes and see what comes out today. We're going to lay them down and then talk about each of them in turn. At the top, we have what's coming down from the divine. We have the letter Yud. Beautiful. The lower right corner is, what do we know about our situation here? We have the letter Lamed. Nice. Lower left is, what do we not see in our situation? And I have the letter Mem. Bottom of our star is, what is the root cause? We have the letter Hey. Upper left is, what is our fear or concern? We have the letter Zayin. And the upper right is, what's our advice for our situation here? Samech. Nice. Okay. Okay, so what I'm seeing here is, what's coming down from the top is the letter Yud. And the letter Yud is the seed. It's that one point that is the building block of all of creation. It's also the first letter of the divine name, the Yud. And also, it's the first letter of the word Yad, which means hand. So the Yud coming down from above is a really beautiful, it's like a raindrop. It's like a seed being planted, or a gift from the divine of how to start building a thing. And I love that for you here. It's that, when I think about it in terms of reflection, it's like that drop that lands in the pool and everything spreads out from there. So that's what's coming down from above. It is the number 10, which is 10 times 1. 1 being, of course, that one point, and this is that ultimate manifestation of oneness. I love that for for this reading, 10. So it's got, and I love that, in this, of course, all these wood rounds have these rings on them, so it looks like that refraction, those ripples that are coming out as that yud drops into the pool of water. Yud, that's what's coming down from above, is just the first name, the first letter of the name of the divine, coming to inspire you in whatever is moving forward here. In the lower right corner, we have the letter that corresponds to what we know about our situation, and we have the letter Lamed here. The letter Lamed is the first letter of the word Lev, which means heart. And so it's about heart. It's about coming to the situation with heart. And it's also the letter that reaches above the line in Hebrew, so it's about reaching up for connection with the divine. It kind of looks like a sprout from that seed that's coming down from the top. It's planted itself, it's got a root, and it's reaching up toward the sun now. So that's what we know about our situation, is that we have some heart, we have something growing, we have something reaching up. What we know about our situation is there's heart in it, that we have heart, that we have the ability to reach up and connect. I love that Lamed is also the letter that represents the intestines in the body. So it's about taking in sustenance. That could be physical food or drink, but it can also be information. And then taking that sustenance and determining what is useful for our body right now, and then releasing what isn't. Looks a little bit like an intestinal tract, in fact, and that's beautiful for the Lamed here. So we know that we have the ability to digest whatever it is that we've taken in. In the Sefer Yetzirah, each of the letters has a foundation or a transformation that is affiliated with it. And in the translation that I read of the Sefer Yetzirah, Lamed is connected to the foundation of action. So what we know about our situation, there's action, that it's coming from the heart. That we've got something that we are doing in addition to the reflection that we're taking right now. We have some kind of action or motivation that we have to move forward. What's unseen in our situation is the letter Mem. The letter Mem, which is the letter that begins the word Mayim, meaning water. And I love that with regards to reflection, because we have this beautiful water of life, the Mayim Chaim, that is here to help us reflect, that we can gaze into that water and see ourselves, as well as imagining those ripples that are being created as we drop that yud into that pool. The Mem is said to be that which looks like a womb. It is the number 40 in Gematria. So it speaks to this 40 weeks of gestation in the human body, but also the 40 years in the wilderness and the 40 days on Mount Sinai. So there's a lot of gestation periods that correspond with the Mem. And Mem is the first letter of the prophetess Miriam, who is said to have a magical well of water that followed her through the desert and sustained the people as they traveled. So there's this gestation piece that's happening. And in this position of the unknown, what we don't see right now is maybe we don't see the gestations happening because it's inside. We can't see. It's under the water. Mem represents that amniotic fluid that bathes each of us as we gestate. And we can't see that. We can't see that right now because it is inside, because it's deep inside of us. That we're reflecting, but we can't see the growth that is happening. Maybe we can't even see the nourishing water or feel it right now, but we can know that it's there. This is being revealed to us right here, that there is underlying nourishment in our journey. Our root cause of our situation down here at the bottom is the letter He. And the letter He is the letter that begins the word Hineni, which means presence, or here I am. It's the answer that one gives when the divine calls one's name. You say, Hineni, here I am. And the letter He is also the letter that corresponds to the foundation of sight. It is this being able to see your way forward. So being present, sitting, and in reflection. It's like this letter that is about a meditation, and that's the root cause of our situation. We are taking time to reflect here. That we will see once we sit. We will have the ability to see what the truth is as we sit in meditation, as we take our time to be present. The letter He also corresponds to the liver in the body, and the liver is the organ that removes toxins. So as we are going through our period of reflection, we need to trust in our innate ability to determine what is toxic and what is not, and release that which is toxic right now in our situation. So as we sit in reflection, we can allow the divine to remove the toxins that are within us through that presence, through that sitting, and enduring the things that are uncomfortable for us right now. In the upper left corner, we have the position that corresponds to fear or challenge that we're struggling with right now. And we have the letter Zayin here. The letter Zayin is the letter that corresponds to a sword or a scepter. So it has to do with sovereignty, and it could be personal sovereignty. Maybe we're having a challenge with power. We're having a challenge with owning our power, or having somebody else's power wielded over us. But I tend to see Zayin as personal sovereignty, about taking time for personal sovereignty. Maybe we're having, again, difficulties with that. And it is the number 7 in Gematria, so it has this affiliation with the completion of creation. The number of days of creation is 7. So something maybe is coming to an end, that there's something that is closing out, some project, or I don't know what relationship, maybe a job even, is coming to a completion. And that is scary. It's a little bit frightening. Something's transitioning at any rate. Something is coming to an end with the number 7 here. And Zayin is the letter that also speaks to rest. It's because it is the number 7, it corresponds to the day Shabbat, or the Shabbat bride. And so there's something to do with rest. Maybe we're having challenges with sleep right now. Maybe we're having difficulty slowing down and taking the time we need to do. And with the reflection here, it seems like that could be a challenge. Like, how do we find the time to reflect? Where do we give ourselves permission to sit in presence and take time for the thought that we need to do to gestate what it is we're gestating right now? And our advice in the situation is the letter Samech. Samech is, it's a circle, it's a wheel. It's about time, so it's circles and spirals. And also about being surrounded. It's the first letter of the word Sovev, which means to surround. But it has to do with cycles and seasons and time in general. So we need to roll forward, I think, is what the advice here is. And also surround ourselves with love. Surround ourselves with protection. It can be about boundaries. In the Paleo Hebrew, it was the letter that was a thorn. So it can have to do with protection, protecting oneself from outside predators, and just setting up good boundaries. It's the foundation of agitation in the Sefer Yetzirah. So maybe this agitation, maybe there's something that is agitating you into action. There's a spark here, or a thorn that is provoking you to action. But it's about moving forward. So it's about wheels, cycles, letting the wheel turn, letting time do what it does. I think that with regards to reflection is significant, because a lot of times we want to push things forward. We want to make stuff happen. What this reading seems to be saying so far is that we need to slow down a little bit and sit in presence and allow for gestation. That even though we want to move forward with action, we need to listen to our heart. Don't be afraid of our sovereignty. Don't be afraid of whatever is coming to a completion, but allow that seed in. Surround ourselves with protection and let time take care of itself. Let that wheel turn. The next iteration is coming. Let me see if there's anything else I need to say here. Yeah, so as we're receiving this seed from the divine and letting it plant itself and reach up with heart toward connection, the gestation that's happening here, this undercurrent, we're going to say, with regards to water, because we have so much water going on here, taking time for reflection, noticing the drop in the pool and the ripples that are coming out. We have this undercurrent, this growth that is happening under the surface. We need to sit and be present to say, I am here and ready for service. And even though there may be fear around power and personal sovereignty, and even though there may be concern about whatever's coming to an end, coming back to that being surrounded with protection, setting up good boundaries for ourselves. I think that's a really strong message here. Set up good boundaries for yourself as you let that wheel turn, as you let time take care of itself. Let's pull out one more Hebrune for today to give us sort of an outcome letter. And we have the letter Resh. Nice. So Resh is the letter that begins the word Rosh, which means a beginning. And so as we've got an ending here, we've got a new beginning coming in. It's also the binary foundation of seed and barrenness. So we've got something that's coming. We've got something that's coming up that's a new beginning and a seed. A seed is being planted. And we can sit and trust that that seed is coming even if we can't see it. That there is a new beginning that's happening. Resh is associated with intellect. So it's about thinking and making plans. And with reflection, with regards to reflection, that seems right. That we will have the headspace, if we take time, as we were speaking of, to do the things that we need to do. Resh is also the letter that rules over the planet Mercury in the sky. So communication will become clear as we trust in the seed that's being planted. Yeah, I think that's our message here, is that there is a new beginning coming, that we have this seed, that we have this root and the sprouts coming up. But if we sit in presence, if we sit and allow that gestation to happen, the new beginning will burst forth. It will have that new idea. We'll have that gestation come to fruition, and we'll have something that we've born. We'll have this new idea that's coming forth. So for those of you who chose the card of reflection, this has been your reading today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe. If you're interested in learning more about the Hebrunes or purchasing a set for yourself, you can find a link down below in the comments. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Hello, those of you who chose the Amethyst stone, my beautiful purple amethyst, and the card Genius. This is your reading. Let's read the card to begin with. Genius. Acknowledge the kindness of your muses. Create time and space for flow. Release your pressure to perform. It's not all up to you. Genius. I love that. I was having a conversation this weekend where we were talking about genius as being this ancient Greek idea of something that you would actually put on or adorn yourself with, or it was like an external thing that you had to call to yourself. So let's pull out some Hebrunes today to see what the rest of this reading is about. And starting at the top, what's coming down from the divine, we have the letter Dalet. In the lower right corner, we have the letter Samech. That is what is known about our situation. Lower left corner, what is unseen, is the letter Beit. Our root cause is the letter Kaf. Our challenge or fear is the letter Yud. And our advice on this situation is the letter Het. Okay. Okay, so coming down from above, we have the letter Dalet. And the letter Dalet is the letter that means doorway. So some kind of liminal space we're in right now. Coming down from divinity, we're being given this threshold through which to cross. It is the letter that in the Sefer Yetzirah is the binary transformation of wisdom and foolishness. So something coming down from the divine is giving us a choice between being wise and being foolish. The doorway that leads one way or the other, hopefully toward wisdom, ideally. It is the letter that rules over the planet Mars in the sky. So it can have something to do with a little hot-headedness, maybe anger. Again, just trying to make that decision about walking through the doorway and whether we're going to be wise or foolish. This is what's coming down from above right now. A doorway. It's lovely. A transformation. Some kind of transition is coming. And we need to trust. It looks like in the acknowledge the kindness of the muses and release the pressure to perform. In our lower right corner, we have that which is known about our situation. We have the letter Samech. The letter Samech is a circle. So it speaks to cycles and spirals of time, about what's going around and coming around. Just the regular rolling on of time and nature. It's also the letter that begins the word Sovev, which means surround. And in the Paleo Hebrew, it looked like a thorn. It is, so it's sometimes said that people would surround their homes or their fields with thorny hedges to protect their livestock. And so boundaries, it has to do with boundaries. So what is known about our situation is that we are surrounded with protection, that we are needing to set good boundaries in order to move through our situation, and that time rolls forward regardless of any of our efforts, that cycles and seasons change. So that's an important message about our current situation. What is unseen about our situation is the letter Bet. And the letter Bet is a home or a house. Something to do with a house or a place where we dwell. It can be a building. It could be a place of employment or a place of learning or even a place of worship. But it also can be just where we live. It could be the earth. It could be our body. The letter Bet is the letter that rules over the day of Shabbat in the week. So maybe what we're not seeing is the need for rest. Be where we are. Bet can also be about life and death, that binary transformation of life and death that is affiliated in the Sefer Yetzirah with the letter Bet. So maybe what we're not seeing is that we need to choose life. We need to take care of our home and rest when we need to rest. That's what I'm getting out of it. That our genius here is to release that pressure to perform and to let go of the need to do it all for ourselves. Coming up from the bottom, we have the letter Kaf. This is our root cause of our situation. The letter Kaf is the palm of the hand or the sole of a foot. And it is the first letter of the word Koach, which means power or strength. And also the word Keter, which means crown. So it has something to do with sovereignty. It has something to do with power. Maybe there's some power that is coming to us. We have some power right now. That's the foundation of our situation, is that we've been given a certain amount of power. And that is what's given us the impetus and the need to walk through that doorway and the ability to set boundaries. We have the power in our situation. It's also about an exchange. It's about giving and receiving. So that that ability to exchange, give what we need to give, receive what we need to receive, and allow for that exchange to happen, extending our hand in gratitude and extending our hand in helping another. Yeah, it seems to be about strength and power, and that's what's giving us the genius that we have here, is the strength and power. The upper left corner is, what is the fear or concern in our situation, or the challenge? And we have the letter Yud. The letter Yud, which is another hand. It's the hand, the Yad, the hand of the divine, the first letter of the name of the divine, the seed, and the one point, the building blocks of all of creation. Start with the Yud. Every letter is made up of a series of Yuds. So we have this challenge right now with the Yad. Something about our hand. And it's the foundation of sexuality in the Sefer Yetzirah, so maybe there's some challenge with sexuality right now. It is the smallest of all the letters, and it is the number 10 in Gematria. So it's that ultimate manifestation of oneness. So maybe we're having some difficulty with connecting with the divine, with the seeds that have been planted, and with sexuality in and of itself. That may be a challenge for us right now. And our advice in our situation is the letter Chet, and the letter Chet is the first letter of the word Chai, meaning life. So I'm seeing it as choosing life. We have the bait down here with that life and death also. So which directly across from it in this reading is the letter Chet, meaning Chai, and life itself. It also is the foundation of speech. So maybe we are being implored to speak what's true for us. We have the genius here where we are being asked to speak forth with the genius that has been given to us. And it is the number 8 in Gematria, so it has to do with infinity. It has to do with the infinite and the ongoing wondrousness of life. So something that is going on and on. We're supposed to embrace the infinite here. We're supposed to embrace what has been being given to us and shown to us in our genius from the divine spirits that are granting us genius. We have the Chet. It's also about contracts and covenants. Some say it looks like a marriage canopy, a chuppah. So maybe we are being asked to make a contract or make a covenant with ourselves, with the divine, maybe with another person. Because it is the number 8, it also corresponds to the day of the circumcision, which is a covenant with the divine. And so we are being asked to recommit maybe to ourselves, to divinity, to another even, despite challenges with sexuality. Maybe that commitment is necessary right now. Walk through that doorway. So as we are being given this doorway to walk through from the divine, surrounding ourselves with good boundaries, maybe unseen that need for rest, that need for taking care of our home. But we have foundational power here with the Kaf down below. We have foundational power and sovereignty. So despite our fear of the seed that's being planted, despite our fear of perhaps a sexuality issue, it's time to move forward and make a contract, make a covenant, make a choice to commit to something. And I'm going to pull out one more letter to give us a final outcome for our situation here. Let's see what comes up. Letter Kuf. Okay. So the letter Kuf is the letter that begins the word Kadosh, which means holiness or sacredness. But in actuality, it's like that which is designated for service, Kadosh. And it also has to do with the word Kof, which means monkey. And so it can have to do with our animal nature and balancing the holiness and the sacredness of our animal selves. Maybe that's the challenge with the sexuality and the commitment, is how do we balance that animal nature that we have these bodies. How do we balance that idea of the monkey, the humanity of ourselves, the animal nature of ourselves, with the sacredness of the divine? Interestingly, also, Kuf is the foundation of sleep in the Sefer Yetzirah. So getting enough rest seems really important here. Creating time and space for flow, as the card says. And there's that random chime of mine that seems to be an exclamation point on whatever I've just said. So finding time and space for flow, having enough rest to get through our situation, setting good boundaries, owning our power, making the appropriate contracts and covenants right now, and resting in our genius. So for those of you who chose the Genius card today, this has been your reading. I hope you liked it. Please like and subscribe if you do. And if you're interested in learning more about the Hebrunes or purchasing a set for yourself, there are links in the description box below. We'll see you here next time.